These are pictures that will absolutely terrify you, part 1. Up first is this picture. This is the picture of an MRI done of a baby in a womb. This looks absolutely terrifying, and I don't really think babies are that cute anymore. Like, just imagine seeing this thing in your nightmares. Next up is this picture. In this picture, it looks like a dog doesn't have a head, but in reality, he lost one of his legs, and he's actually scratching his back. But at first glance, this absolutely terrified me, and I bet it terrified a lot of you too. I mean, honestly, just look at it. Next up is this picture. I don't know if these are eels or ginormous leeches, but whatever they are, I am terrified of them. Picture this. You're walking through the woods enjoying your day, and you suddenly come in contact with the spawn of Satan. I can't even imagine what I would do.
The reason I had to move out of my flat. I was home alone.
Last part of the Smile Man. The Smiling Man then stopped dancing and just stood there, staring at the sky with this smile frozen on his face. The young man just stood there as well, unsure how to react. And then the Smiling Man started dancing again, but this time he started dancing backwards, backing away from the young man. He kept dancing and dancing until he was nearly out of sight. And the young man just kept staring at him, unsure of what would happen if he took his eyes off of him. But then, when he was almost out of sight, the Smiling Man stopped dancing. A few seconds went by, the Smiling Man was just standing there still, and so was the young man, just staring at him, wondering why he had stopped moving. And then he started moving again, but this time he started charging at the young man at full speed, running straight towards him. The young man then started running too, and he ran until he reached a road with sparse traffic. He never found out why the Smiling Man was acting that way, and he never saw the Smiling Man again, but the smile always haunted him. The Smiling Man Part 2. The young man crossed the road hoping that he would be able to get ahead of the Smiling Man, and that would be that. But immediately after doing this, the Smiling Man put one foot in the road and started waltzing across the street straight towards the young man. Soon enough, the Smiling Man was on the same side of the road right behind the young man, a few feet away. The young man found this unsettling, so he started speeding up, trying to get away from the Smiling Man, hoping that maybe a car would drive by, but the road remained desolate. The Smiling Man kept shuffling towards him with his head pointed straight up at the sky with the same unsettling smile on his face. When the Smiling Man was only about 1 foot behind him, the young man decided that he would turn around and ask the Smiling Man, "What do you want? Why are you following me?" But all that managed to come out was, "What?" The last part is on my page.
Creepy photos that can't be explained. This photo was taken in the basement of a house that was for sale a few years ago. The photo was taken by a realtor because he wanted to show his clients the house. Everything looks completely normal in this house until you look at the left corner. What appears to be a fairly transparent woman is standing towards the bottom of the stairs going to the basement. The realtor insists it lies in the backstory of this house. The house was previously owned by a man and his wife, but unfortunately the wife passed away, so the husband decided to sell. Another reason why the man wanted to sell his house is because after his wife passed, he kept hearing strange noises in the middle of the night while home alone. What do you guys think? Who or what was captured on camera? Like and follow for more.
This video might be proof that we're living in a simulation.
Oops. That's freaking weird, man.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like there's someone else taking a picture.
Right? It feels so weird because it should be moving.
Yeah, I don't see any, like... I don't see anything, like...
Right?
Somebody explained to me how this bird is dead and not moving, but it's in the sky. Some people think that it's a glitch in the Matrix, or some sort of hologram that the government is using, and they think that this goes hand in hand with all those alien sightings that we've been seeing. Maybe everything's like a hologram, I don't know, I'm confused.
Creepy photos that will give 99% of you chills, part 4. This is the Columbine High School class photo, and at the top left, you can see Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, and they are making fake gun gestures at the camera. Just a few weeks later, these two seniors would murder 12 of their classmates and one of their teachers in the Columbine High School shooting. This is Jeffrey Franklin in the back of a police car after he murdered his mom and dad. The sinister smile on his face is very, very chilling. This photo looks like a normal photo, but right after this photo was taken, this girl's boyfriend shot her in the back twice and then pushed her off the cliff, killing her. 22-year-old Gabrielle Hernandez posted this picture to her Facebook before taking her own life, and the caption of the photo said, "Goodbye to all. I don't have anything now. I don't have anything."
So we've all heard of the fictional clown characters like Pennywise from It or Art the Clown from Terrifier. But what if I told you that there was one that actually existed? And his name is Wrinkles the Clown. Now some of you may already have known this, but there's actually a documentary about this man, Wrinkles the Clown. But he was actually first seen in 2014 on a security camera in a little girl's room where he pulled the drawer out from under her bed and stood at his full height while he loomed over the little girl sleeping in her bed. And if you don't believe me, here's a quick clip of Wrinkles the Clown in the little girl's room. You see, the craziest thing is, Wrinkles the Clown wasn't even an intruder. Her parents paid him to sneak in her room. Yeah, in fact, this man dresses up as Wrinkles and gets paid $150 an hour to scare misbehaving children. Just cross your fingers and hope you don't wake up to a clown's face beside your bed at 3 in the morning.
These are photos of extremely disturbing things, part 4. Up first is this picture. This picture shows hundreds of wedding rings from Jewish people at the concentration camps. This is actually insanely disturbing and also extremely sad. Next up is this picture. This picture from World War II might look normal until you see the soldier on the left. He has a very creepy smile on his face, almost like he's looking past the cameraman and at you. This look right here is evidence of shell shock, which is a state of severe shock caused by exposure of active warfare. The look on his face is just chilling. Finally is this picture. This picture looks like it's straight out of a horror movie, but it's actually from a mental institution in Germany in the year 1890. People said mental institutions were extremely bad back then, but I didn't think they were this bad.
Years later, after a 15-year-old boy killed his entire family, he ended up becoming an award-winning professor of psychology at a major university. On August 4th, 1967, 15-year-old James Gordon Wolcott killed his entire family using a .22 caliber rifle after supposedly sniffing airplane glue. Police reports claim that the reason James killed his mother and sister were because of their annoying, excessive loud chewing and their bad accents, and the reason he killed his father was because he disapproved of the Vietnam pins that he wore on his clothing. Wolcott, who was then 16 at the time of the trial, was found not guilty due to reason of insanity and was sent to Rush State Hospital until he became sane again. Around 6 years later, Wolcott was released after found to be sane and ended up soon becoming a professor of psychology at Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. And I'm sure you can already assume that his coworkers aren't a huge fan of him.
Creepy historical photos that will haunt your nightmares, part 3. Back in the day, plague doctor outfits used to have extremely large noses, which held herbs and other nicely scented items which were believed to ward off the bad air which contained the sickness. The man who took this photo was Harvey Glatman, a serial killer in the 50s who posed as a professional photographer in order to lure models into his home. He then tied up, photographed, and strangled them, and was known as the Glamour Girl Slayer. Violet of Edinburgh was voted the scariest woman alive in 1882 and 1884. She was a part of a vampire group in the UK, where its members would summon the dead and have to donate their blood in order to get in. This is the Beast of Jersey, who would break into homes and rape women and children. He was convicted of 13 counts of sexual assault, rape, and sodomy. This is Mrs. Shalafo, who faced poverty and was evicted from her apartment in 1948.
Pictures like this, surprisingly, they make me sick to my stomach. This photo was taken by Marissa Hill as she sat in her bed helpless as a stranger left her hallway bathroom. On the backstory I could find from this photo, she had heard a noise coming from the hallway bathroom and thought it was her husband, who was actually outside at the time, but when an unknown person came out of that bathroom, she was mid-picture and realized it was not him pranking her. An unknown elderly man came out of her bathroom and she sat there completely paralyzed with fear. According to her, she sat there in complete silence because he did not seem to notice her, and then he had just exited the house, and by the time she got up and got her husband called 911, this person was gone. They had no idea who he was, how he got in, or what he wanted.
Yo, what's up? Here's some scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 44. There is a type of shark species known as the Greenland shark that can live upwards of 200 years. One, because it is adapted to the cold water in the Arctic Ocean, and the second reason is because it'll eat anything that falls in the water. That means polar bears, penguins, and anything up above. If you were to travel to space in a spaceship, traveling the speed of light, let's say at age 15, when you came back 5 years later, you would be 20, but all of your friends, well, they'd be 65. There is a condition known as the Cotard syndrome, otherwise known as the walking corpse syndrome, in which people suffer from believing that they have never existed and that they have been dead this whole time. If you go to a Catholic priest and tell him that you murdered somebody, they can't say a word because of Catholic law, and they will keep your secret. Please don't get any ideas.
I went to Reddit to find the most unexplained supernatural or paranormal events that people had ever gone through. And this is what I found. I was annoyed with my daughter because she hadn't cleaned up her room in weeks, so when I walked by her room and saw her standing there, I assumed she was doing what I said. A few minutes later, she walked out of the shower in the bathroom with a towel wrapped around her and asked why I was looking at her strangely. When I asked her who was in her room, she looked scared too. I never figured out who was in there, but we didn't clean up the room either. 6 out of 10. Was spending the night at a friend's house as a kid around 12 or 13. Parents weren't home, so we decided to go out, do some ding-dong ditching, get into some young angsty debauchery. We get home and it's around 1 or 2 in the morning. Cue a ringing of the doorbell. Naturally, we think it's the cops or some pissed off neighbor. My friend had a small window that looked out onto the front porch and you couldn't really see into it from outside. So we took a peek at who was calling at such a late hour. Standing at the door was an old woman in a dress and a young boy in a weird newsy outfit. Both were dressed extremely out of period as it was the 90s, and my friend had never seen them either in the neighborhood before. We ducked because we're a bit freaked, look again less than 10 seconds later and they're both gone. Nobody on the street walking away, no cars driving away, they were just gone without a trace. We did not sleep well. That's a good one. That was a good one. 7.8 out of 10. That one was kind of freaky, and they were all kind of freaky, but it makes sense because
these are the most evil people on Earth, part 1. Number 1 on our list, David Berkowitz. David Berkowitz, otherwise known as the Son of Sam, was a serial killer who terrorized the area of New York City from about July of 1976 to July of 1977. He started his killing spree in 1975 when he stabbed 2 women with a hunting knife, but 2 years later, after his neighbor's dog supposedly told him to go out and start killing people, he grabbed a .44 caliber bulldog revolver and shot 6 people dead and injured 7. After these killings, Berkowitz continued to write very taunting letters to the press and the police, promising that until they caught him, he was going to continue to kill more people. But finally, on August 10, 1977, police would move on to search Berkowitz's car, where they would find a duffel bag full of ammunition, a map of his crime scenes, a rifle, and an unsent letter from the Son of Sam to the police. And when Berkowitz was arrested, he told the police, "Well, you got me. What took you so long?"
There is a Polish girl who thinks that she might be the lost child Madeleine McCann. I almost thought that this was like an imposter thing. I wouldn't believe it until I looked at the girl's eyes. Madeleine McCann went missing when she was still a toddler, right? Which kind of tracks with this girl because she wasn't even thinking about this until her grandmother said something to her that got her researching. Ended up reading about the McCann story, and she realized that a lot of her early childhood was very fuzzy, and she's asked her parents, can you provide like pictures of you when you were pregnant with me, which they refused to. She also had a childhood teacher who claimed that she did not start school around this age, which also sort of tracks with the timeline of the disappearance. The girls do have similar facial features, but specifically, I am going to call attention to the mark on her iris. There's this distinct mark that was found on Madeleine's eye that has always been kind of the definitive factor of whether or not this person is legit, and although hers is faded, which she acknowledges, she said she's always had it.
these are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Now, chances are, even even if you've never been to Disneyland, you probably know what it is. It's quite possibly the most famous amusement park on Earth right now, but what if I told you it has a very dark past? You see, Disneyland is known for several conspiracy theories, but there's one that is confirmed. At Disneyland, they have a ride called Pirates of the Caribbean, and on this ride, there's skeletons scattered throughout the ride. Now, when this ride was first created, they used skeletons that looked really fake, and Mr. Mickey Mouse didn't like that. So they reached out to UCLA and ended up replacing the fake skeletons they had on the ride with real skeletons. So for a while, if you were to go on this ride, you'd be greeted by real cured skeletons. After a while, they realized how this could be wrong, and they replaced them with fake ones again and gave the real ones a proper burial. Now, chances are, if you know an old person, you know someone that wears dentures. But back in the 1800s, dentures were done very differently. In the 1800s, dentures were created by using the teeth of real dead people. And it was like this for a while until science was able to make some advancements and put fake teeth into the dentures. When you die, your body will start to release several gases as it decomposes, causing your stomach to swell up like a balloon. And if not treated properly, your body will continue to swell until you pop. That one always it makes me feel disgusting on the inside, but I guess that's why.
Yo, what's up? Here's some scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 43. One of the reasons refrigerators are magnetic is because back during the early 1900s, children used to get stuck inside of these when they were playing hide and go seek, and they would actually suffocate and die. There's actually a condition known as arachnodactyly, and it makes your fingers and your toes appear abnormally long in comparison to your palm and to your foot. It can appear at birth or later on during life, so don't think you're safe just yet. There's a chance that you could experience internal bleeding, but you may not even know it's going on until it's too late. Oh yeah, I didn't know if you knew this or not, but actually when you die, they drain your body of all the blood. They put a tube through your jugular, it goes down a table, and then it empties out into like a sink or a toilet. Yeah, and then it's just replaced with formaldehyde.
Now you knew I was gonna make a video on this. This footage could be video evidence that has captured the Serbian dancing lady. It's not entirely clear where the legend actually originated from, but there have long been tells of a woman who shows up dancing in the middle of the night in the street.